Kathy McDaniel is the author of the memoir Misfit in Hell to Heaven Expat. While dying from lung failure, Kathy shares her near-death experience as she traveled to hell, heaven, and back again. Hi, Kathy. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you accepting our invitation.
Well, thanks, Leslie. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so Kathy, I really am interested in, of course, your near-death experience, but what brought you to the hospital in the first place?
After that experience, I was very run down. I was very depressed, and there was a horrible flu going around, very much like COVID, and I caught it. And in very short order, I found myself in an ambulance going to the hospital, and I blacked out. And then when I woke up, the doctor and my family, who'd come from all over the country, said, we've got to put you into a drug-induced coma because there really wasn't any background as to how to treat that, and they were going to throw the book at me. So they said, we will put you
Use
under.
you as a test, basically.
Exactly. I was a guinea pig.
Okay.
And he said, well, what I'm giving you will necessitate you kind of your brain will go offline and you won't be able to remember anything that happens. So don't worry about it. And they were wrong.
Well, how would they know anyway? I mean, really, honestly, how would they know?
That's what happens, I guess, with most people.
Well, I think that most people just simply don't remember. Would you agree that?
Well, I think it just goes black. I mean, it's kind of like going to sleep and not dreaming is what they said it was called. It was a white amnesia, I think they called it.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you actually were, how long were you in the induced coma?
Just short of 3 weeks. And in that time, they were not winning the war with my lungs. They got worse, and they told my family that I probably wasn't going to make it, and they told them all to come say goodbye. So I was on my way out.
Okay. And so with the near-death experience, you're in the coma, you're in the hospital. Is it one of those situations where you rise up and you can see your body, or what was the first thing that happened?
No, I just woke up and it was pitch black and I couldn't see anything or hear anything. And I had no idea where I was. And I just kind of hung out until the scene started to lighten up a little bit. And then the adventure began, and I never knew I was dead. I never felt anything other than totally alive. Most of it was very traumatic, so I had to stay on my toes. But no, I never, until the very end, something sparked my realization, and I thought, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to be here. I think I must have died.
Yeah, this is not good. They told me I was in hell, and there's only one way to get there.
I must be dead. I think what's extraordinary about your story is because I've read about other people's experiences, and no one actually goes to hell, or very few go to hell. And what was hell like?
It was hellish, yes. Really, more people go than you think. It's something like 2 or 3 out of 10. It's just we don't like to talk about it. We don't get the same reaction as people who sit on the beach and have lunch with Jesus. People aren't dying to hear about our story because it frightens them, and we feel shameful for having. We don't know how the hell we got to hell, and so it's kind of a two-way street. There's more of us than you think. Mine started off in this horrible burned out city. There was screaming and fires, and I thought there must have been an atomic bomb or something. It was very frightening. There were creatures, there were strange people wandering around. It was very unsafe. I had no idea how I got there. I just knew I had to find someplace safe to kind of tuck into. But every time I would get to a situation, suddenly the lights would just go out, and I would be blinded, and I would just freeze. And then amazingly, lights would come back up and I'd be in a completely different situation. Most of them were with either demons or not nice
Did you recognize them as demons when you saw
Well,
the?
it's like if you ran into Bigfoot in the woods, you wouldn't say,
Okay.
"Gosh, is that a penguin?" You know,
Okay, I understand. Okay.
you kind of, it's big and ugly and mean, and yeah, I knew, but again, it did not seem weird. It was just, I don't know. I wasn't in Kansas. I knew that.
Were you thinking to yourself, how do I get out
Oh
of this
yeah. I
place?
kept thinking there's got to be a door out of here, or there's got to be a path or somebody. I'm going to run into some more people like myself who accidentally fell into this rabbit hole, and maybe we can find our way out. But it just went on and on and on and on for a very, very, very long time, even though there's no time over there. But anyway, but by the time I got to the very end, I was pretty much not, I didn't want to give up. I just knew that if I did, I'd remembered somewhere in the back of my mind that despair was the unforgivable sin. And I don't, that just, I thought, no, I can't give up. So at the very end, I was still being the brat that I was and refusing to do what they told me to do. And the last one tricked it. I got out. And when I did, it was like, I would tell people, it's kind of like when you go to the store to buy a balloon and you want helium in it, when you're human, you kind of feel like that rubber balloon, but
Mhm.
they put you onto that machine where the helium turns on and you go whoosh, and it gets a million times bigger, and it's floating, and it's that's how it felt. Except with love, you're just filled with this love. You're just exploding with it. You're floating in it. Everything is, you're tumbling in it. It's bliss. It's just so indescribable.
Did you
And
have a guide in
no,
hell and then a guide in
nope.
heaven?
I was on my own. And yeah,
Oh, wow.
that's what was freaky. At least if you've got a buddy or something, you've got a plan you can make. But no, I just kept running into strange characters, some of which I knew on Earth. I mean, there was two that I ran into that were alive. So that was another thing that did not trigger the fact that I was out of my body, that I was in spirit form, because they were there. Well, it turns out I had messages to give both of those people. So when I got back, uh, they were not well received, of course. I mean, you tell somebody, "Hey, I saw you in hell and I got a message." It doesn't, go over real well.
Yeah,
But
like, could you at least have seen me in heaven or purgatory or somewhere if they're. So they didn't receive it? Well, have they since it's been a while? I mean,
one of the ladies, it was not a good message. She really had to change some things about herself, and she distanced herself from me. We owned a house together, and she sold it. Anyway, we got out. I haven't talked to her in 23 years. And then the other one was a close relative, and I told her the story. She was in the middle of a mess in her life, and she put it in the kind of the back of her head. And then, like 3 or 4 years later, she caught me at Christmas, gave me a glass of wine, and said, "Tell me that again." And
wow.
she says, I was in hell. I was in this horrendous relationship. I had lost myself. I didn't know what I was going to do, and you gave me hope. So she
So
took my
that was your mission. So you, even
yeah.
though it's like, why am I in hell? You had a reason to be in hell, and it was
Yeah,
to
that
save
was
some other
good. That
people.
was good. And the other reason, I mean, when I got to heaven, the man I'd been taking care of that had died the month before I had was standing there, and he looked great. And I couldn't understand the last time, when you die of leukemia, you don't look good. Your hair's out, you're purple, it's awful. But he looked wonderful. And I thought, wow, he looked so good, and he was laughing. And I thought, wow, I didn't say that out loud. And so I thought, something's screwy here, And then he started laughing, and I thought, he's listening to my thoughts. And I thought, oh my gosh, if he's in heaven, then I am too. And I thought, wow, this is just terrific. And I says, come on, let's go look at the stuff. I was so excited. And he came a little closer, not so I could touch him though, and said, now, Mary Kay, that's my nickname. He said, you've got too much left to do. And I thought, oh no, they're throwing me out. I mean, I was
Because you wanted to stay. Is that what you're saying? You actually you get
yeah,
like you
I
would
mean,
be perfectly fine.
is so wonderful. It's home. That's what it is. It's home. You know, when you get there, it's like, oh my gosh, I was down on earth doing this stuff. It's a short-term thing. And now I'm home. Thank God. But anyway, they sent me back. And it took me quite a while to try and figure out what that too much left to do was, especially since I was in a hospital for 4 weeks, and then I was in a physical rehab facility for another month trying to learn how to walk and talk and button. And I was a wreck. I was 86 pounds. I had no muscle mass left. Anyway, I had a really long recovery to go to, and it took 10 years to find somebody that would even listen to my story. And that
I'm
was
so sorry. After when you were in the rehab,
yeah.
did you recall the near-death experience?
Oh, it was real. I mean,
okay.
I came back, I opened my eyes, and then I thought, well, where am I? Why am I here? And it was a terrible joke. I mean, that was awful. That was a nasty thing to do to somebody. So, of course, it was just like I had walked into the room after being, 3 years in some place, and I wanted to tell everybody where I was, and they said, "Oh no, it's a drug, so you'll forget it. It's a dream." Well, no, it wasn't, because it happened in my soul. My brain was offline, folks. Didn't have anything to do with my brain. So that's why today, 23 years later, I still relive it a lot. You can't, it won't go away. So that's cool. I've learned to live with it.
When did people start believing you? Was there one occasion or one person?
Finally, I got to an IANS meeting. That's the International Association of Near-Death Studies, and pretty much all the people that show up the meetings and stuff are formerly dead people, and they get it, And they thought it was so cool that I went to hell, because they only just went to heaven, that they tell us about it. And I thought, whoa, these people are so strange. But once I told the story, then other people started coming out of the woodwork, saying, I had this weird thing happen, and I don't want to talk about it because people, look at me funny. So I've been able to get a group of people together monthly for, sit around and talk about these sorts of things, and also to tell people what I learned in heaven, which was that God's all loving, all forgiving. We all choose our lives. We come down here to learn things. We go home. We get a life review, as one of your other people said the other day, and I wasn't there long enough to get one, but it's supposed to be a fantastic experience. There is no judgment. There is no God sending you to hell stuff. What I did is manifested what I had been taught on my fundamental. But foundational beliefs. You also had a guy on the show about that. That really rang my bell, I'll tell you. I was taught as a Catholic from day one, that I'd go to purgatory when I died, and it would be like hell, but I'd get out after my sins were
if you behaved. If you behaved, or
so I went to hell because I thought I would, and I came back to say, don't believe that BS. God doesn't judge anybody. It's God loves everybody, and do the best you can, and you go home, get your life review, and ta-da.
And can anybody go to that IANS, that international?
Yeah. I live up in the Seattle area, and they have a meeting once a month. You just get online and see where the nearest one is, and you can go to some of them via Zoom. They've got conferences. They've got all these speakers and stuff. I mean, it's incredible how many thousands and thousands and thousands of us are out there right now. It's a nice time. I think the world is kind of becoming awakened.
I sense that too. I sense that people are becoming more awake, and they're just more accepting that there's something wrong. There's something more.
Yeah.
But what would be, because you join these groups and these meetings, what's the number one common thread that you all share?
We're not afraid to die. We look forward.
I'm gonna cry. Okay, that is so beautiful.
We look forward to it.
Okay, because how beautiful it is.
It's fabulous. And I mean, it's so interesting that the thousands that people come back and they don't have the same story. It's like we all take a piece of this huge puzzle back with us, and because it's just too big for the human mind to see it all or understand it all. So if I just saw a small piece and it was fantastic, you can imagine what the entirety of it is going to be like.
Interesting.
Wonderful.
So you're not afraid to die, and you know that it's all beautiful and love.
Yes,
Is
yes,
that what
yes,
just
yes, yes.
bliss? I think is what you said.
Joy, happiness. You see all your friends, you see all your soulmates and your dogs and your cats, your pets are there. It's just
Okay, I did not. I've not read that or heard that.
Oh
So
yeah, people say their pets come to see them.
okay, this is just beautiful, beautiful. So I want to thank you so
You're
much for
welcome. Thanks for
joining
having
me.
me.
And you're really awesome, and I appreciate it. And how can people get in touch with you?
I have a website. It's let's see. Well, you could probably put it in your.
It will be in the description.
Yeah, it's kind of lengthy, but the book is Misfit in Hell to Heaven Expat, and it's a memoir, and it's about my life before, during, and after the experience.
I read your book. I absolutely loved it.